It's time to pick a side. The Border War is on the air with BG and TanMan.
All right, everybody, thank you for tuning in this week. We want to take a minute and thank everyone who listened and downloaded our show last week. A couple different segments last week, so we want to thank you guys all for tuning in. We want to remind everyone that we can be found on Twitter at The Border War. If you want to tweet at BG, he is at BG_Border War. I am at TanMan3264. We can also be found on Facebook, YouTube, and in case you haven't seen the Facebook video, BG soaking up the sun right now. He's on vacation, but I've got my man TanMan filling in for him. TanMan, welcome to the show, buddy.
Thank you for having me.
Well, we're going to jump right into it. This is going to be our NBA session. In case you haven't noticed, the NBA season has finally come to an end. Maybe the most interesting part of the NBA season about to kick up. But before we get into that, we're going to just take a moment to revisit what was a mercy killing in the NBA Finals. What happened, TanMan? What are your thoughts? You're new to the show, so I'm gonna give you first dibs on this one. Give me your take on the, like I said, mercy killing that was the Warriors and Cavs Part 4.
Well, I think that to represent what most already thought, they were heavily overmatched. Golden State just had too many weapons, and it was just kind of LeBron versus the Golden State Warriors. And as much as I didn't like to hear LeBron talk about needing help, I would have loved to see his teammates show up a little more for him, and the shots just were not falling, the defense wasn't in place, and it got ugly real quick. After that first game, though.
Well, that was it. The first game, before the series, I said, I'm not going to be disrespectful to that man. Mm-hmm. I'll take the Warriors in 5. I'll give them 1. I'll take the Warriors in 5 just because I said LeBron will be able to put them on his back. He will carry them to a win, and he did. The only problem is they didn't get credit for it in Game 1.
Absolutely.
He carried them to a win. They didn't get credit for Game 1. They wound up getting swept. I said Warriors 5. I said it's not going to surprise me if it's a sweep. Sure enough, there it was. You brought up a point. The popular take is the first thing everyone goes to is LeBron needs help. LeBron needs help. He needs another dude. I think Kevin Love is that other dude, in my opinion. I think Kevin Love can be that dude, but they're gonna keep running into Golden State. It's just to me, it's not so much of an issue with help as it is Golden State's just a bad matchup for him because there's nobody that Kevin Love can guard on that team. And every time Steph Curry needed a big basket, they ran a play. They switched him up, got Kevin Love on him, and he wore him out every single time.
And the thing is that defensively, the Cavs haven't been a very good defensive team all year.
No.
So I was kind of waiting for that to resurface, but you're absolutely right. I just think that they needed one more guy. If they had a Paul George, if they had one more perennial scorer, one more player that could get his shot off, as Kyrie Irving used to.
They had that,
absolutely, and they really missed that caliber of a player within these finals because when LeBron didn't have it going, no one else stepped up. Of course, Kevin he did a little, but he was such a defensive liability.
He always has been.
It was unreal.
Tell me what you think about this. Kevin Love, when he was in Minnesota, if you remember, terrible teams. I think they sniffed 500 once. The man was giving you 20 and 10 every night.
Unstoppable.
He gives you 20 and 10 every night. He goes to Cleveland, and all of a sudden, they'll go stand in the corner. Go stand in the corner and wait for the ball.
He turns into a jump shooter.
That's what they've turned him into.
An all-around big man. His short game is everything was just in play. Even his on the block game prior to was just really good, but now it's just like you say, run to the corner, shoot the three.
Just go stand in the corner,
run off the corner. And I don't think that's his game, but I think with the years past, he's adapted that as his game. As you notice, the games that he was inside, that he started around the inside the perimeter, that's the games that they were blowing teams out because they were getting more help on the boards. He was putting it back. LeBron was kicking out. Now we got free open looks. So you're right, man. I absolutely think Kevin was okay, but we needed one more person.
I tell you, Kevin Love, and I think it's just because he's the white guy. Let's be honest. He gets a lot of the blame because he's just the white guy. I think the biggest problem on this team is not J.R. Smith. All right? To me, the biggest problem on this team is Tyronn Lue. Tyronn Lue would not coach another team in the NBA for more than 2 years before they canned him.
You're right. Right. And he got overcoached. He
gets outcoached every time they get on. Steve Kerr has run circles around him. All right. How many times you see Jordan Clarkson? He might play 20 minutes, and then the next 3 games DNP, coach's decision. Same thing with Rodney Hood. I don't know if it was he didn't want to go in the game, and that set Tyronn Lue a certain way, but Rodney Hood sat for the whole series, and by the time when he finally put him in, he was playing.
He was playing, and he kind of
this man's averaging like 16 a game in Utah. He comes to Cleveland, he scores like 8 a game. He doesn't play half the time. Right. Game 1, LeBron James goes to the sideline, wanting to know where's our timeout at. And we got a timeout. Why is Ty Lue not going, okay, timeout while J.R. Smith is dribbling out the clock? He doesn't know what's going on.
And that could have very well saved that game. I mean,
I think it absolutely would have.
Timeout. Obviously, J.R., his mind was not exactly on what the situation was at hand. And I think I really think he made a mistake. He really did. I don't think he understood the situation.
I think we touched on this a little last week, but you weren't here, so I'll mention you. I think a lot of the guys, a lot of the talking heads, Tim Legler was one, said, I don't think he expected George Hill to miss the free throw in Game 1. I don't think he expected him to miss the free throw, and when he did, he wasn't thinking because Hill is like an 85% free throw shooter.
Absolutely.
And so I just think he kind of zoned out. But Ty Lue,
he should have stepped in.
Lue should have stepped in before J.R. Smith got outside the 3-point line. Everybody stopped
because he had sole possession of the ball.
Yeah,
he almost could have even attempted to put the ball back up because he was running so fast to get outside. Lue absolutely should have called that timeout.
Right.
No doubt.
You can point that. You can blame that one squarely on LeBron James because J.R. Smith is his dude. He got him paid.
That's
Tristan
right.
Thompson, he went through a stretch where he didn't play. LeBron James got him paid. Ty Lue's the head coach because LeBron James wanted him to be the head coach. So if you want to blame anybody for problems or things not working in Cleveland, starts at the top. Go over to Golden State. The reports come out today. Everyone wants to know, when is this thing going to end? How much longer can it go? We typically don't see these kind of runs extend more than a handful of years at most. 3 championships, at least in my lifetime, seem to be the ceiling. The Bulls won their 3, and then Jordan plays baseball, they break up. They come back and win 3 more, they break it up.
The Lakers.
The Lakers won their 3.
Absolutely.
They break it up. Warriors have got 3. It seems, I think it's a pretty safe bet to say they're probably gonna be heavy favorites to win 4, and we'll get into some more possibilities with that one. But right now, the Lakers are favored, or the Warriors are favored to win a 3rd straight title in the 4th in 5 years. But after that, in my opinion, I think it could get dicey. It's come out today. Draymond Green's going to decline an extension offer this summer. He's going to decline the extension offer. He's going to hit free agency next summer with his eye on one of those Supermax deals. Klay Thompson, they're going to try and negotiate an extension for him this summer, but the hopes, the expectation that is absolutely going to get done, not real high.
And Klay is that X factor that I thought would have been the first one.
I do too. I do too.
Just on importance of, I saw his demeanor look different, even with the addition of Kevin Durant, whom you just have to allow him to be Kevin Durant. But I think towards the end of the season, middle and end of the season, Klay kind of found his way again. But I think he was really used to being one of those splash brothers, the guy with next to Curry and with Kevin Durant taking that spot.
Kind of took some of the light off.
It kind of took his thunder a little bit, and I think he took that to the heart. It looked like it at times. He didn't look as happy in happy moments.
Yeah. Like
the rest of the team, preferably the first title they won. You look at his demeanor while standing on the podium, he was kind of in the back, no interviews, no cameras around, like it was with Curry and Durant and Iguodala. He had some good moments. So I think he'd be the first one.
I've gotten the impression from Klay Thompson that he's the guy that is perfectly comfortable letting Steph Curry hog the limelight and Kevin Durant hog the limelight. It's not going to be able. You can't just disrespect that man. You can't pay everybody on the team.
That's right.
$40 million a year. So when Curry's making his $40 million, Kevin Durant's making $35. Draymond's shooting for that supermax, and he said if they're not going to take care of me, somebody else is going to take care of me.
Draymond, I don't know. I think Draymond is a product of a perfect team.
I think so too. I think he'd be making a big mistake by leaving.
Absolutely.
I think he's making a big mistake by leaving. But
absolutely.
The guy's a second round pick. He took a haircut the last time to bring KD in and free up that money to bring Durant in to start with. I don't believe he's giving him a discount the second go round.
The thing that's different about this team though is that these guys were drafted. The only guy that was the real addition was your Kevin Durant and maybe your Andre Iguodala. But
the star KD was the only one that came from the outside.
Absolutely. So it's very rare that you see a team that's drafted that goes to that level. It's always one or two or three strong free agents that take that team over the top. But I think if anyone is expendable, I think it's Draymond. But I think if it's the guy that's really wanting to show the world who he is, I think it's Klay. I think it's
Klay. You said it to begin with. I've always thought Klay was the first one. He was going to be the first domino that falls.
Yes.
I think he's going to go someplace. He and Curry have been. This Warriors incarnation is still relatively new, but he and Steph have been together.
That's right.
What, 8 years now? I mean, this isn't a new thing.
Right.
I think the next summer's free agents. Everybody this summer gets a lot of hype because of LeBron, but next summer, talking about the possibility of Kawhi.
That's right.
The possibility of Klay, Draymond Green. I'm sure LeBron is going to sign another 1-1, so I'm sure we're going to go through the whole LeBron thing again next summer.
Chris Paul will be somewhere in that conversation, even this summer.
Even this summer, maybe. I no telling what kind of deal Kevin Durant's going to sign.
That's right.
But I think there is a shelf life. No one wants to get into it, but I have a feeling there's a shelf life for this Warriors run.
I believe so. Do you think Draymond is that max player, though?
Would I give him a supermax? No.
Absolutely. We agree. We both agree that he's in a perfect situation.
I think this is the perfect team. And if they, in a perfect world, they could say, we're not going to get happier than happy. We're going to keep doing what we're doing. We're not going to rock the boat. They could win another 5 NBA titles. But you don't see that.
That's right.
You don't see that.
I think if you lose a Draymond and you add a DeAndre Jordan, I don't think that's much drop-off in terms of some of the different things you can do with a true big man that's athletic. I don't really
with this team, I'd rather have Draymond.
Because it's a quicker, faster ball movement type of deal. But
I think DeAndre Jordan just kind of clogs things up for him. And he doesn't give you that emotional burst that, for whatever reason, this team thrives on. He's texting Kevin Durant at 4 in, and he's texting guys around the league.
But he knows his role.
His role.
He has to do that in order to be relevant on this team, I think. You're talking Draymond, 6'8", maybe? Mm-hmm. That's not really tall for a defensive force in the middle. I mean, looking at your Joel Embiid's and all these guys, the Greek freak. I mean, these guys are
7 foot tall.
Almost, yeah. So I think Draymond is a product of a good draft, a good young team that happened to land one of the best coaches that they could possibly.
Remember when there was a conversation, a debate of whether Steve Kerr should go to Golden State or the Knicks? Remember when that was a thing?
It was unreal.
I remember Draymond Green in the 2009 national title game. I think he was a freshman when Carolina played Michigan State. And he just got pounded. He was a fat guy in the middle. I was like, man, you're getting run out of the gym.
Right.
I'd have lost 4 house payments.
Yeah.
Betting that Draymond Green would turn into what he has.
Absolutely. But the guy that's really on the outside, really feeling pretty bad, will be Mark Jackson.
I always feel bad for Mark Jackson.
I know, man.
Watching these games on TV, Jackson, not only are they winning it, man, they're sticking you courtside. You're calling the games.
Witnessing what you built.
You started this, man.
Yes.
And he has to watch over there and watch Steve Kerr get all the credit, all the love. Steve Kerr's the greatest coach since Phil Jackson. He's the best, and Mark Jackson just got to sit there like, yep.
Yeah, he's the glorified basketball Switzer.
That's it. Yeah, we appreciate everything you did for us, Mark.
Yeah, you got to thank. Yeah, I mean, I think Kerr should definitely be thanking Mark, and I think Barry Switzer should definitely be thanking our guy, the best coach of the Cowboys ever.
This is off topic. We'll get to LeBron here in just a second. How long do you think? What's your gut tell you on? Is Steve Kerr a lifer in the NBA, or is this was what I did right now? He landed in the perfect situation. I mean, if this thing breaks up a few years down the road, Steph Curry's, he's knocking on the door to 30. He's going to get paid a lot of money into his early 30s, and we've talked about how much longer this run will last. But I just couldn't see Steve Kerr being anywhere like this is it.
Yeah,
he could go to the front office, but I don't see him being, a head coach in the NBA once this run ends. I think he'll do this, and then he'll move on to something else.
Definitely a candidate to run the front office in basketball operations. Absolutely.
I know he did that in Phoenix, and it was just kind of
But adding 3 rings to your resume and building and dealing with so many personalities, I think that qualifies him for that type of role. I agree with you. I don't see him much on another sideline.
This thing breaks up, and Steve Kerr, everybody hits a reset button eventually, except San Antonio. So Steve Kerr, could you see Steve Kerr in Memphis?
No, he's having a Phil Jackson type run. I mean, if you think about it, I think that Golden State can probably win it 2 more times. They can win it the next 2 years because players want to come there. They are super young, and they understand that they're the best team. They have the best. They have 4 All-Stars. Are
you buying the LeBron taking a meeting with Golden State's talk this summer?
No.
You don't think he'd take some meeting?
No. I don't think he'd take that meeting. No.
Why wouldn't you? Give me a reason. I'm LeBron James. All right? I'm not going to Orlando. I'm not going to Milwaukee. All right? There's only going to be a handful of teams that he's going to really seriously consider. And Golden State calls me up. KD calls me up and says, hey, come out here. Hang out with me for a few days. Let's go talk to Joe. Let's go talk to Steve. And just sit down and have a meal.
Well, see, LeBron.
What's the downside to that?
The downside is he's reliving the whole Miami drumming that he's going to get by going to another super team.
Well, no, I didn't say should he sign. I said should he take the meeting. Should he even go out there or just go? You know what, man? That's you guys' thing. I'm going to find me another place.
The competitor in me would like for him to have the same competitiveness and not take that meeting because you can't beat him and join him and be like the greats. He's chasing the ghost of Jordan. And in my opinion, the ghost of Kobe. Because you got 2 players that did it in one place. He's already broken that cycle. So now, I don't want this Mount Rushmore player to start turning into a ring chaser. Because these guys... not saying that they did it alone, but they stayed patient and they got their teams to that. Now LeBron will leave Cleveland a second time. Did he come and deliver? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But now we start the cycle of I'm gonna jump to this team. I'm gonna go over here. Now we're chasing them. You went to Miami to learn how to be a champion. You come back and deliver a championship to a place that's never seen one.
And whenever he leaves, either now or next year or 5 years from now, he'll never be back.
Never. His best thing to do is to stay in the East. You just don't want any parts of Golden State for the next 2 years until we have that free agent summer to see where these guys are going. Klay Thompson missing on that team is huge.
All right. To tackle the first point you made about ring chasing, I think that's his legacy. To me, his legacy is not championships or the number of times he's lost. Jerry West lost in the finals like 10 times. All right, I'm not as concerned with that because 2 of those times, the team that he drugged to the finals had absolutely no chance. None whatsoever. All right, that 07 team and then this team, no chance. All right, so I think the what you see around the league where guys moving around and joining up, player empowerment. I think that's more of his legacy than staying in one place or kind of like Kobe and winning your rings with one organization. That to me, the whole player empowerment, you taking your own career in your own hands, that's his legacy.
And I think that's kind of the style and social proudness of this generation now. Everybody's friends, so everybody wants to join the friends, no matter what the pride element of it is, no matter what the competitive element, as in we lost to you guys, I can't turn around and be on your team, as what Kevin Durant did. That's why he took so much flack for that. But
he's still getting flack for that,
and he's winning championships, and he's still getting
hammered.
But winning MVPs in the championship, and he's still getting hammered for that. At least this man is delivering MVP performances to earn the ring. But just because
driving KD to an early retirement is
it is absolutely, because I think if he gets 2 more, I mean,
he says he doesn't care. I don't care what people say. I don't hear what people say. Everybody, if I say it's not you, it's me, it's you. If I say it's not about the money, it's about the money.
Do you think he's the Charles Barkley with rings in the NBA? Meaning that he's going to be the most criticized because he has these 2 rings, as in Charles is probably one of the greatest players to never get that ring. Kind of like...
If it weren't for LeBron, I think nothing he does is without controversy. If he wears shorts to a press conference, if he puts a cast on a broken hand, it's a big story. Right.
Well, I was speaking on Kevin Durant. I was saying in terms of the
but that's what I'm saying. If it weren't for LeBron James and him playing in the same era, in the same window as LeBron, I think you'd probably be on. I think KD probably would be considered the most criticized. But he's always got LeBron. He can always kind of, if he wanted to, he could always kind of slide back and let LeBron take all the criticism that's out there. Get back on the King. I mentioned some places that he may wind up. I thought that Houston losing Game 7 with Chris Paul out, I thought it set up perfectly for LeBron James to be in Houston.
Mm-hmm. That sounds good.
I got an interesting one I'll pitch you in a minute. I think San Antonio is going to be a spot. I think he talks about wanting to be on a smart team with smart players, a good organization. His respect for Popovich is well documented. He's not going. I don't believe he's going to turn San Antonio down for meeting. They've got Kawhi, they've got LaMarcus Aldridge. That team made the playoffs in the West without Kawhi Leonard. Are you kidding me? They've got Danny Green. All right. Then you've got you guys, the Lakers.
Absolutely, LA has a home in LA.
He's got 2 homes in LA. He's got 2 homes in LA.
Absolutely.
Philadelphia is a popular spot that gets mentioned. Boston, but you said, like Boston, you said, staying out east. Oh, I don't see. I thought that. My first thought was, you'd be a fool to go out west. But what's the difference? He's going to get hammered if he runs into Golden State for the next 2 years, wherever he goes in the finals and loses. He's going to get hammered. So what's the difference if you run into him 2 weeks earlier?
I think for the legacy of the finals. You're talking a guy that can't chase the ghost. He's chasing the ghost of Jordan, and I think the league wants him to be the next Michael with feel-good titles. He won't catch him in number.
No.
But the way that his titles feel, the way it felt for Cleveland to get that title, it was instant. Is he better than Jordan? Well, because it felt so good. But if you look at the guy, that was his third ring. Jordan has 6. I mean, it never went to a game 7.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just so it feels so good for LeBron. But to answer that, I just feel as if you stay in the East, if you get what I think Philadelphia is a perfect pick for him, because that team is super young. They have stars, they have talent, and they flash glimpses of being able to get there with that alone. They just need leadership. I don't think they need leadership. I don't know if there's enough balls in Houston because they slow the ball down so much. You got Harden that he can get his shot, but it's slow. By the time he misses that, Golden State shoots a 3. Here we go. You know, that's a 6. That's a 9-0 run before you know.
Before the season, I thought there's no way the Houston thing is going to work. There's no, and they came within a Chris Paul hamstring to actually beating Golden. I mean, they were going to the NBA final. They were going to win an NBA championship had Chris Paul not tweaked his hamstring. So
I felt so bad for Chris, man.
I think Houston is, if he's going to leave, which I'm not convinced that he's going to do. And I waffle on this. If you ask me today, I'll say one thing. If you ask me an hour from now, I'll say another. And if you call me tomorrow morning and say, hey, what's LeBron James doing? I'll tell you a third different thing because nobody knows. But the more I think about it, it's Houston. To me, it's got to be Houston or Cleveland. If you want to continue to I guess you want to continue to stay in that conversation. I think he and his thing is driving and kicking, kicking back. Yeah, who else is better to kick out to that you can get to? Really, he can't get to Golden State realistically. What's better realistically than Harden and Chris Paul kicking out to those? To me, if you stick him in Philadelphia, it's a weird fit, man. He's on one scale, like he's on one timeline. They're on a whole different timeline, man. And Simmons can't shoot. He had a whole year off. He still can't shoot.
It's the trust factor. Yeah, you're right. I think you can't really trust Philly, but you can trust Harden and you can trust Chris.
It's just
Ariza.
Like I said, it just feels like a different timeline. Boston, I heard one rumor about them trading Kyrie to the Knicks and bringing in LeBron James. But again, are you on a different timeline than the rest of the guys on that team? I mean, Jaylen Brown is 21. Jason Tatum's 20.
But they gave you everything you can handle, and I think
I don't disagree with you.
With that being the case, I can see him doing that. But
isn't that the same thing as just ring chasing?
Now we're back to the same.
Which brings me back to the point that I don't know that Cleveland. I don't know that I'm not convinced he's not going to stay in Cleveland.
Interesting, you bring up that point about Boston. That injury to Kyrie, didn't it really show how
expendable he is?
Expendable he really is. If he doesn't get that injury, we never see Rozier.
Well,
but I've heard Rozier coming back home to Akron because he's an Akron kid.
Is he?
I heard. I was told he was a Cleveland kid.
I didn't know. All I know is he played at Louisville. I didn't know.
You come back home to LeBron and you bring in a Kawhi Leonard, and Kawhi's used to the small market already. Why those two? And you keep Love. You got to keep Love if we're talking that type.
I think you got to move Love. I mean,
really? You think you move? You move?
I think you move him because we just say there's nobody he can guard. There's nobody he can guard. He's a great player, and if you were running up against any other brick wall in the league, I'd say you keep him. But you're going to run into Golden State again. You've already seen this movie, man. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result.
But can Lou coach that up
That's
enough?
the other thing. I'd get Ty Lue out of here.
Can you coach that up enough to not put Love on that island and to get switched up? And that would Rozier fight through that screen and not let that happen? So now we gotta. The difference is Kyrie could stay in front of Curry.
Yeah.
Okay. The difference was in that game that they won, Curry couldn't stay in front of Kyrie.
No.
And that's your difference. He's a scorer. You give him a hair of a window and it's gone.
Well, the other main popular destination, I guess the other than Houston or Cleveland, the odds-on favorite to land the services of the king, your boy's out in La La Land.
Yeah, now we are talking a little bit. Magic Johnson will have an opportunity to show how persuasive he really is. And I think he's probably going to land a good 3 top free agent picks for the Lakers.
2 months ago, they were punting on the whole summer of 2018. We're just going to punt. We're going to focus on 2019 when Clay and Kawhi hit the market. What changed? You're a Lakers man. You're a Lakers man.
When they made the trade and got rid of Clarkston and Larry Nance, I knew we were going to a different direction in terms of what we were going to do in the offseason. We have enough money to get about 3. With a 2 in a LeBron or a Paul George, a Kawhi Leonard, a Chris Paul. That 3 is dangerous, but LeBron, Chris Paul, Kawhi. Either way you want to cut it. Paul George, Paul, and LeBron. I mean, Magic will put something together. They have a very good young nucleus right now. Mm-hmm. I think the ball kid, I think he's a good point guard, especially coming off the bench. With the Chris Paul starting.
Man, look, Lonzo Ball's not coming off the bench.
I think he would.
He ain't coming off the bench. The only play that they have to bring in LeBron James, they've got to get rid of Lonzo Ball. I think you gotta move on from Lonzo. But yeah, to bring LeBron in, he's not gonna deal with the Lonzo Ball drama, the LeVar Ball drama, much less the LiAngelo Ball drama that's hitting the airwaves now.
Oh my God!
Look, it's too much of a circus.
It is.
And if you want to get serious and really get into the LeBron James business, you got to trim some fat.
That's right.
And it's not going to be easy because of what you've invested in him and the way you kind of marketed yourself around the whole. We'll just say the Ball Corporation.
Yeah, because it's exactly what it is.
But LeBron, bringing in LeBron, that's a whole different way of doing business. And to me, it just doesn't jihad.
Well, I think Magic needs to. I thought initially that Magic had the tools to keep that situation under control. But as we both saw.
I don't think he does.
As we both saw.
I don't think he does.
LeVar got out of control and they started really creeping into the locker room. He's talking about the coaches and the players and who should have done this, and it's just a circus, man. And I agree with you. It's kind of hard seeing LeBron becoming a part of that, and as well as becoming a part of that criticism. Because you're talking local criticism that's going to hit worldwide before your Stephen A's and
see Paul George has always been the name most often associated with heading out there to L.A. with LeBron. Right. I think it's Chris Paul, because if he goes, like I said, to me he's not going out there for Lonzo. He's certainly not going out there to deal with all the extra nonsense that comes along with it. And he's 32, 33. He's been in the league 15 years now.
That's right.
There's a lot of he just played 100 he just played over 100 basketball games. He didn't miss a single game. You saw what he gave you in the NBA. I think that was kind of the last frontier of his career, because the rest and sitting out and taking days off has always been a thing. I think the last thing that he did to shut everybody up was to show that, look, I can play every game. I can play as often as I want, as much as I want, and still do whatever I want on the court.
Absolutely.
I think now's the time where, okay, long term, if he wants to have a run of another 4 or 5 years, I think he's looking to scale back a little bit. That's why I don't think being on a young team is the right fit. I don't think going out there to L.A. dealing with the balls is. I think he wants somebody to take some of that off of him. And, Lonzo, what did he play? 50, 55, 56 games last year?
Right. He's
another few years.
Could you see Alonzo Ball? If you're giving up Chris Paul, are you saying, well, give me a point guard back? There's so much baggage that comes with Ball that his play is often overlooked.
I think so. I think you're hearing everybody on the team's expendable except Kuzma. Personally, to me, I'd throw Brandon Ingram in that mix. I wouldn't trade Ingram.
You think he's shown enough? Do you think he's shown
enough? He went from 9 points a game to like 16 points a game. I wouldn't trade Brandon Ingram.
Okay. What about Isaiah Thomas? He's still in that roster, isn't he?
Man, I'd get rid of Isaiah Thomas. I'd get rid of him quicker than I would a pair of socks, man. Are you kidding me?
You think Isaiah's seen his last days since his hip injury?
Man, Brad Stevens turned Isaiah. Brad Stevens is a magic man to get what he got out of Isaiah Thomas. And Danny Ainge is the best executive in the league to turn that into what he turned that into, man.
Especially with the product that he got with Kyrie coming in.
Oh man. I give you one place. It's never been mentioned because it's not going to happen. Man, like the ultimate savage move that LeBron James could make. Go to Oklahoma City. Team up with Westbrook, and then you go beat Kevin Durant in the NBA playoffs. You go beat Kevin Durant with Durant's old team.
Do they have the
You'd have to trade Carmelo Anthony.
Yeah.
You'd have to trade Carmelo, and it would all have to be Paul George is going to stay, and we'll team up with Paul George in OKC instead of LA, and take Westbrook, George, and LeBron, and let LeBron go beat KD's team with his former running mate. That's like the ultimate boss move.
That's a boss move, and I like that. I'm just so scared that Westbrook does too much, and I'm afraid.
I'm not a Westbrook guy.
I just think he does too much, and I don't know if LeBron would want to have to deal with coaching that on the floor, doing too much. I mean, you're talking about the guys averaged a triple-double.
At least he'll do something. J.R. Smith just dribbles out back to half court. At least Westbrook will do something.
And Paul George will play with you too. Paul George is a big moment guy.
Paul George isn't the guy. I went to the ends of the earth to defend Paul George for like 19 years, right?
The Pacers.
Now that he's gone,
yeah,
I'm able to take a more realistic look. If Paul George is your second best player, okay. But if Paul George, if he's all that goes out to the Lakers and LeBron goes somewhere else, and you bring in Paul George, you
don't have enough.
You don't have enough.
No, you don't have
enough.
No.
Well, one place we know doesn't have enough right now. The Queen City, the Charlotte Hornets. They're right up the road from us. No. Tramel, could you ever see Charlotte being a contender in the future? I mean, what are they missing up there? How do they get on the path to being I don't want to say respectable NBA franchise, but you hear these national guys talking every time. Colin Cowherd said it today. He tossed in Charlotte like it was just you want to go here, or you want to go to Charlotte, like it was none.
Kind of like the Cleveland Browns of basketball, right?
How did the Hornets get on that? How did they get on that path?
Front office. I think it starts with the front office. And Jordan is, of course, the GOAT on the court. Best to ever lace him up.
He's a worst NBA GM. He should never be let near a GM.
Worst GM. This is my frat brother, and I love him, but I think that he needs someone else. He needs a Stephen Jones like Jerry Jones to help him and to stop him from making the moves that made.
Well, you're a Lakers
Adam
man.
Morrison got moves.
Oh God!
I mean,
well, you're a Lakers man. They've hired the former Lakers GM. Mitch Kupchak is up there.
Okay, is
Kupchak gonna be able to turn this thing around? They've got a new coach. They brought in Jay Triano. They brought in Borrego from the Spurs to be the coach. Triano, he was a Spurs assistant. He's now on the Hornets staff. So taking a page out of that Spurs book. You've got Kupchak, who had a ton of success in LA as a GM,
and he's hungry to outdo his sister in LA. They have a sibling rivalry that she fired Mitch. So with that being said, the sister.
Whose sister?
Remember Mitch, the Kupchak. We're talking about.
Are you talking about Jeannie?
Jeannie.
Oh,
Jeannie Buss. I'm sorry.
I thought you said Mitch had a sister that fired him. But
no, Mitch. No. I mean Jeannie. I'm sorry, not his sister. But so I think he's really kind of wanting everybody to see his real skills outside of that situation. So I think he's seen enough. He's seen the Shaquille O'Neal's, the Kobe Bryant. He's seen it. Mm-hmm. So I think he can go up there and help them make some really good moves. Now, if you can keep Jordan kind of out of the way of it, maybe so.
Yeah, I'm all in on the Kupchak deal. I think he's going to do a great job up there. I think you hit the nail on the head. the only way a team like Golden State, my whole childhood up until like I said 5 years ago, Golden State was trash, man. They won the one playoff series against Dallas when they were 8 seed, like 10 years ago. But other than that, I couldn't name you other than Chris Mullin and Chris Webber. I couldn't hardly tell you anybody else that played on Golden State's team. They were garbage.
They had English. English was good.
That was like 40 years ago.
That's
like
how
40
I remember.
years ago, man. I know. Don Nelson was a coach for a while, but to me, Charlotte's in the same place, and you hit the nail on the head. It's got to start in the front office.
I agree.
They've got to heavily invest. I've seen some of the guys that they've been bringing in workouts. No.
But see, the big namers don't want to come. The big namers.
But I'm talking about college workout. I'm not talking about free agents. I'm talking about the college kids they're bringing in. No.
Oh man.
No. Again, they've gone the Frank Kaminsky, tall, lanky, unathletic white guy route. Cody Zeller, tall. They brought in like every tall white guy that there is to bring in. No, stop it, man. Stop it. But they're stuck at number 11. Klay Thompson was like the 11th pick. Paul George was like the 10th pick. Kawhi Leonard was like the 15th pick. But it took these guys like 3 years to develop into something like that. To me, they've got one trade chip, and they kind of sitting on it. I don't really know what they're doing. Are they going to trade Kemba? Are they not? Are you going to package one of these bad contracts in this 11th pick?
Yes.
To at least get you some cap relief and go from there?
Do you think a guy like Klay could go there with another guy and Kemba and make a difference?
Well, I got another one for you. What if I called you up right now and I say, Tramel, Kemba Walker, he's got one more year left on the deal. It's like $12 million. You give me Lonzo Ball, I'll take Kemba Walker, and then you've got an actual NBA proven all-star point guard to use on a ridiculously cheap pay scale right now to use in your pitch for LeBron James.
I'm taking that deal before you even finish the sentence. I'm taking that deal.
Jumping on it.
I'm jumping all over that deal. Kemba can score the ball. Kemba can play defense. Kemba's reliable. He plays every game almost in Charlotte. So he's the man. And I just think that it's time for him to in order for us to see the full package of what he's offering.
He's got to get out of it.
He's got to
get off that team.
He's got to get out of there. Absolutely.
I'd love to see the Hornets get really good. I went to a playoff game a couple years ago when they played Miami, and this is of course after LeBron had already left. So this was Dwayne Wade. Chris Bosh was kind of still just sitting on the bench with his health. So it was basically Dwayne Wade and Hassan Whiteside. Man, that place was on fire. Charlotte is a basketball town, man.
Absolutely. I agree.
They're a basketball, and to see that their attendance numbers are like 28th or 29th in the league, it breaks my heart. Yeah, I remember the first incarnation of the Hornets coming through, man, they were terrible, and they led the league in attendance.
Yeah, you're right.
Multiple times.
But they only have one guy. And this is the league of having
you
two or
cannot
three.
get it done with one. Every team's got one guy.
Right.
Everybody has one. Sacramento had one guy when they had Boogie Cousins, and they were horrific.
I want to give you the scenario, though. Talked about it with some teachers today. Long shot for LeBron landing, staying in the East. About the team that he terrified the most, that was number 1 in the East. Toronto.
Oh, no chance. No chance.
They've got 2 All-Stars there already. What do you think about bringing a LeBron onto the team? They were number 1 in the East with just those 2 guys that melted down.
If LeBron went to Toronto, that team wouldn't win 25 games because the rest of those guys would, like you said, they would just melt. Even on their own team, they would still just they would still have flashbacks of LeBron James just torching them like 9 years in a row.
Oh man,
no,
you don't see that. You don't see that one.
To me, LA is the big favorite. To me, it's Houston. I trust Daryl Morey to do his cap gymnastics.
Yeah.
If he wants to go to Houston, he'll be in Houston. Like I said, or it's Cleveland.
I'd love to see him stay in Cleveland.
I'd like to see him stay in Cleveland, but I'm also kind of ready for something new.
Yeah.
I mean, Warriors Cavs 9 just doesn't have round 9 just doesn't have a good ring to it.
No, it doesn't. And it's like now everybody's chasing Golden State. They're putting together teams just not to just do well, and it's just to beat Golden State. Houston was put together to beat Golden State. Just one of the stars went down.
They still didn't get it done. All right, next up, we're going to hit the NFL. T.O. and his Hall of Fame ceremony invite. And the quarterback rankings. Cam Newton checking in at number 19?
Disrespectful for Cam.